Hello, whistlers everywhere. So today's tune is a little bit different. We're going to do a Welsh tune. It's a lovely air, which is in 3/4 time, and its name is Morfa'r Frenhinnes, which translates to the Queen's Marsh. So there's not a huge amount of ornamentation and variation within this tune. It's fairly simple. But the tune itself is a beautiful Welsh air, and I've played it quite a few times with my harp playing partner. And yes, so we've performed this many times, and I still love the tune. It's a great tune. So as usual, I'll play it through straight without any ornamentation. Maybe just some cuts to separate notes which are the same. And then we can have a look at some simple ornaments which we can use on this tune, and maybe a couple of little variations. But to be honest with you, there's not going to be a whole lot of ornamentation and variation in this tune, as it doesn't call for it really. So okay, so let's have a run through without any ornamentation or variation, just as the sheet music is for Morfa'r Frenhinnes. Okay, so here's the sheet music for you to have a look through when I play it. Just to take note that the first note, the B, which is written in the octave below, is obviously out of the range of the whistle. So we're going to put the first B and the other subsequent Bs, which are below, an octave higher. So we're going to actually start on this first B, this one. Yeah, so today I'm going to use this lovely Fred Rose Blackwood whistle. I've had this for quite a number of years, and it's probably one of my favourite, if not my very favourite whistle. It just does everything I want it to. Right, so here we go. Morfa'r Frenhinnes. Okay, so let's have a bit of a dig in to see what kind of ornamentation I was using, and very little really. So, but I am using some cuts and taps to separate notes. So let's go from the first line and have a look at what I'm doing. So, now I'm separating the E's with cuts and the B's with cuts. Now you can separate with tonguing, there's nothing wrong with that. You could go, but try and make it a very legato, smooth, gentle tonguing. Yeah, it's whichever way you prefer. I generally tend to use the long flowing method and only separate the notes with cuts when is necessary. Tonguing, yeah, it's fine to use those tonguing, but as I said, try and keep it as a slow kind of legato tonguing. So let's have a look at the next bit. So I've got the first E, which I'm going through with the breath, and then I'm going to cut the second longer E and then tap the short crotchet E. So first few bars. So now if you want, you can tongue them and that's fine. So tonguey version. Or so let's have a look at the rest of this line. And of course the last note, we're going up the octave. So let's have a close look at that. Again, separate with tonguing or cutting, it's your choice. And then the last two bars. So then we've got the next line where there's lots of repetition or similar phrasing, similar patterns. So and then the next bar. So let's have a look at the first four bars on the second line. Again, separating with cuts or tonguing it. It's up to you. And then bar 3 and 4 with cuts and now with tonguing. Cuts. So again, use whichever you like. And then the last four bars. So again, separating notes are the same, either with cutting or with tonguing. Yeah, it's all interchangeable. You don't have to use cuts, you don't have to use tonguing, or you can even mix it up and decide which notes sound better to you, whether they're cut, or which notes sound better to you as tongued. So it's your choice. Right, so let's play the first A part. And then that's repeated again. So yeah, fairly straightforward. I haven't put anything too much in the way of ornaments because this tune doesn't really need it. I will show you later on a couple of little twiddlies, little trills which sound nice, but I think with this it's careful to not overdo ornamentation and keep it within sort of the Welsh tradition, really, which isn't highly ornamented. It's different from Irish music. So let's have a look at the B part now. Okay, so B part. So again, we can separate those notes which are the same. We can cut the first and tap the second. So we're going to go. Or you can tongue it. But I prefer the cuts and the taps. And then the last 4 bars. And again, separating the notes which are the same with cuts. Or tongue them. Yep. So let me play the third line. I'll play it tongued first, and then I'll add the cuts to show you the different, well, the cut and the tap. So here we go. Now with the cuts and the taps. And then the last line is exactly the same as the second line of the A part. So same thing applies. You can either cut or you can tongue. Okay, let's have a look at the A part for some little additional ornaments or slight variation. Okay, so the A part, with a few little added twiddles. I'm not going to do much because, as I said, it's not really in keeping with the style of this piece. So here we go. All I did there was slide up on that long B in the second bar from the A to the B. And put the little cut. So slide from the A. You can either pull off or you can slide forward. Slide, pull off, or slide forward. Whichever you find easiest. Both techniques work fine. Okay, so for the next 2 bars, I was doing so that's cutting the long dotted crotchet E and then tapping the short E on the quaver. You can put a little trill on that long E, so it'd go. If you'd like to, it's just an option. So the next 4 bars, sorry. So again, you could put a little cut on that first E. Cut the A. again, in this kind of tune, less is more. So we don't really want to get too fancy with this tune. Keep it fairly steady and not obscured with too many ornaments. So the next bit. Put that nice little slide on the B, and then bars 3 and 4. Now let's put a little short kind of down, up, down. A little trill on that F of that group of 4 quavers. So those 4 bars of the second line. Yeah, I wouldn't do much else to that. And then the last 4 bars. So you can cut the high E. And that's probably all I would do. So you've just got that little trill on the F sharp in bar 3 of the second line. So let me just play that again for you. And that's it. I wouldn't do much else, but if you would like to add other things to it, then feel free to do so. Just remember not to overuse too many ornaments because it will obscure this lovely melody. Okay, let's have a look at the B part now. Okay, so the B part. Now we can use the same note separation, or you can tongue if you would like on those high G's and high F's. So now what you can do is treat them all as even crotchets. So you could go. So what I like to do sometimes is a little variation is just to short roll the middle one. So I'm going. So straight. And again, I'm putting that little twiddle on the F in that group of 4 quavers in the third bar. So. Or playing them as straight crotchets, the first 2 bars, with the roll on the middle one. Okay, so the last 4 bars. Again, I'm just doing a little drag onto the A from the G. Now, sometimes what I like to do is to put just a little simple cran on that second E on the last but 1 bar on the third line. So it goes. But again, fairly sort of simple in terms of not over ornamenting. Right, so the last line, again, same as the second, so you can use the same ornaments, or you could do a slight variation. You could go. Yeah, so you could put a long roll on the first note. And then just go up, so we're going. So what's written? Variation, put a long roll on it. has that little trill again. Yeah, and I wouldn't bother with anything else on that. Okay, let me play you through the B part now with the little ornaments that we've added. Right, so now I'm going to play it through with the added ornaments and the slight variations which we've put in. So have a listen. So that was Morfa'r, Frenhinnes, or the Queen's March. Yeah, like anything else, you can interpret this tune in the way which you like. You can either tongue the notes, or you can cut the notes, or you can use the ornamentation which I suggested earlier. Or you can just play it straight as a tune, and it's a lovely tune. And sometimes, certainly with this kind of piece, to over ornament it is really to take or detract from its grace and its beauty. It's a lovely piece, and we don't want to get too fancy with it. So if you've enjoyed this tutorial video, if you found it useful or helpful in any way, if you'd like to subscribe, and also there's lots of updates coming soon, lots of new tune breakdowns and some tutorials on technique, all aspects of whistle playing. So yeah, subscribe if you would, and hopefully I'll see you soon for another edition of The Whistleblower. Okay, bye for now, folks.